So I saw Andrew Haigh All of Us Strangers, and it was absolutely beautiful. All of Us Strangers, as I said, is directed by Andrew Haigh and also written by him based on the novel Strangers by Taichi Yamada, and it stars Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Jamie Bell, and Claire Foy. And before I get too into this review, I just want to say I'm not going to spoil the movie in depth or anything, but I'm going to talk about the narrative a little bit, and some of the things I will say have been revealed in the trailer. One or two of them have not. So if you don't want to really know anything about the narrative, then I guess stop watching, but again, I'm really not going to go into anything too deeply anyway. All of Us Strangers follows Adam, who is a lonely screenwriter who's living in a giant apartment building, and one night his drunk neighbor Harry, who is played by Paul Mescal, comes to his apartment and hits on him, invites him to share a bottle of liquor, and although Adam rebuffs him in the moment, they eventually start a relationship. And running concurrently to this relationship is Adam attempting to write a screenplay about his childhood, and the way he sort of explores this, kind of through maybe dream or hallucination or some other way, is going to his childhood home, which is actually Andrew Haig's real-life childhood home, and visiting with and speaking to his parents the way they appeared when they passed away in a car accident when he was only 12 years old. And so we're seeing Adam as a grown adult man interacting with his parents, and they're all around the same age, and they engage in incredibly interesting conversations. Like, one that stood out to me in a big way was that, of course, Adam enters a relationship with Harry, and so he's gay, and because his parents died when he was 12, he never got a chance to really come out to them. So we see what it would look like if he came out to them at the age he was, and they were somehow still that age. And it's incredibly interesting and well executed because his parents kind of have slightly outdated ideas, but because he's a grown man and he's around the same age as them, he kind of engages with them as an adult, and he can kind of challenge their beliefs in certain ways that were just really believable. They didn't feel manufactured or like too aggressive, like it felt true to how the characters interact, and a lot of that can be credited to the performances in this movie, which are some of the best of the year. The entire ensemble is basically the four actors that I named, and they're all excellent. Andrew Scott, this is definitely one of the best performances of the year. There's a lot of kind of quiet, deep-rooted sadness in him. He's obviously someone who's been carrying the pain of his parents' death for many decades, and there's even a moment in the movie where he's talking to Paul Mescal and he says,
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
and you can see that in his performance, like, despite the fact that it's been so long, he's still carrying that pain with him, and I found it so well portrayed, and there are moments, like, where he's keeping it together until he just can't anymore, seeming like he's pretty much okay, but really he's right on the edge and he breaks down. And in the hands of a lesser actor, I felt like those moments would feel kind of kitschy or, like, cringy, and Scott made them completely believable, and he had great scene partners through the whole movie. Claire Foy and Jamie Bell are playing his parents, and it's a very interesting dynamic to be playing parents because, as I've mentioned, they're all basically the same age, and they're not really having these interactions. But I found the parents so well played. There are scenes where all three of them are together, and there are scenes where Andrew Scott is just talking to one of them, and they're all incredibly well portrayed. Claire Foy and Jamie Bell, they each get their moments, and they each absolutely kill them, especially their final scene in the movie, which was, pretty heartbreaking, but absolutely beautifully well acted. And outside of those moments is Andrew Scott sharing the screen with Paul Mescal. And I have to admit, I've not been someone who can legally pronounce themselves as a member of the Church of Paul Mescal before. I've not seen After Sun yet. I know I have to, but I kind of get the hype after this movie. He doesn't really have like the meatiest role, but he still has a lot to work with, and he makes a lot out of that. And going into the movie, I'd actually heard some critiques on his character's arc, and after I watched the movie, I kind of felt that way initially, but I think I was a little bit swayed by hearing those thoughts before, and as I've thought about it, his arc makes a lot of sense to me. In the moment, there's a lot to kind of wrap your head around, but with more time, I found it to make a lot more sense. I think his character is deeper than he appears on the surface, and I don't want to elaborate on that too much, but that's something I really would want to explore on a rewatch, because the performance is so great, as are all the others, and I think a big part of that is the fantastic work from Andrew Haigh. The screenplay, I think, is one of the better ones of the year. It's incredibly well written. I mentioned that line earlier. There are many other lines in the movie like that. I don't want to say too many of them, but there were just a lot of lines that have stuck with me, and I'm still kind of thinking about them. Extracting all the emotion out of one line of dialogue in, however many seconds of screen time, and making the audience feel that. And I really felt that. And Haigh does some cool stuff with reflections throughout the movie. There's one scene in particular that really stayed with me, where Andrew Scott's on a train or a subway, and he sees the reflection of himself as a boy in the window opposite him. And there are a few moments in the movie that make use of an actor who's playing a younger version of Adam, and I found all of those beautiful and kind of heartbreaking. And I just found the movie, the more I've thought about it, to just be incredibly beautifully put together. It's one I really want to watch again, and I think it's one that's going to reward a lot of thought. There are things that I noticed, that I wasn't expecting. There's a surprising sense of humor in the movie. There's a really funny moment where Andrew Scott is wearing, a little kid's pajamas, and I don't want to say too much, but that scene was really funny and delightful, and that goes back to the screenplay. They found great places for those moments of levity, and a movie that I've loved thinking about and can't wait to think about more. And I saw this with a few friends, and the whole car ride back we were just talking about the movie, and we all had kind of different interpretations of things. That wasn't something I really expected going into this movie, but I was unbelievably happy that that's what I got. So I think this is one of the best movies of the year. I don't know if it'll end up in my top 10, but if you can see it, especially because I know the rollout has been a little funky, if you can see it, do that. It is a beautiful, beautiful movie, beautiful performances, so intimate, so cathartic, so believable. See this movie whenever you can. Thank you so much for watching, and I do just want to take a moment to say my bad about not uploading any videos over the last month. I've had a lot of ideas, and there was a weird wave of subscribers and views, so if you're a new subscriber and you're watching this video, thank you. I've got a lot of videos that I have ideas for, and I'm working on them. I just gotta grind them out. There will be more soon. I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, thank you so much for watching. Good.